Good morning, WooConf. Happy to be here, and very thanks for coming. Just a quick clarification. Rahul was scheduled to do this talk, and he got sick after an overseas trip, so I'm basically filling in for him. So I'm going to be his voice. I'll try my best. Okay. Just a quick intro. Like I'm Siddique Hameed. I'm a tech evangelist working for Simplify Commerce by Mastercard. I'm here to talk about payment security. So here's a quick outline on who we are as a company. So Mastercard has 2.3 billion cards worldwide for both credit cards and debit cards, and we have operations in more than 200 countries with 150 currencies. So like this can speak about who we are, right? So when it comes to payments, you do need to know who you're trusting. So trust is a integral aspect of payment security, right? So so that just speaks for itself. So who we are and how we care about both the cardholder security as well as the merchant security. So card not present is a major concern, right? So it is estimated that it's card not present frauds are 7 times harder to detect than a card present, because card present, you know who you're dealing with. So the merchants interact with the customers, in premise. Whereas card not present, you don't know where it comes from. So it could be Moscow, Russia, or it could be Moscow, Idaho. So making sure that you're dealing with the right person is an important thing, and how you handle that is key to your success. And there are some stats there. So United States is responsible for 47% of world's card fraudulent transactions. That's big, right? And then it's been estimated that it grows, increased to over 120% for the past decade. That's just mind-blowing. So this is, as a merchant, you do need to look at the stats again. So fraudulent transactions have increased 32%, over H2 of 2013 and H1 of 2014, and 254% increase in fraud attempts over the Q3 of 2013. That's huge. 2015, sorry, huge. And 42% of U.S. merchants are reporting card not present frauds. That's almost half, right? 42%. So, whether you're small, medium, or large, you are susceptible to fraudulent transactions. So, this is, I hope this can convince you as a merchant, as a service provider, that card fraudulent transaction is something that you do need to seriously, look at and see how you can improve security for your for you as a merchant or for your customer. All right. So this is a typical 4-party payment system. So what it involves is it's a payments 101. So what it involves is you have a customer, you have a merchant, and you have a merchant's acquirer bank, and then you have an issuer bank, the cardholder's issuer bank. So these are the individuals who are involved in a 4-party system, whether you're using point of sale terminal or you're using an online transaction. So how it works is, there are some data breach elements that you need to look at. So there are 2 major data breach elements you need to consider, which is credentials, like your username, password, and sensitive data such as your email, address, SSN, and so forth. So these are the 2 major data elements that can be breached, and these are the things you need as a merchant, as a developer, as a service provider. You need to consider looking at how you can protect those. I just wanted to quickly go through these the flow. So here's let's see, there are a lot of arrows. Okay, so this is how the money flows in a 4-party system, right? So you can have your customer coming in, filling in a credit card form, and then the card data flows through the payment gateway from you to the acquirer bank, merchant's acquirer bank, and it goes all the way to the issuers, and that gets approved and so forth. So there are a lot of flows in there. I mean, this is how the money flows in a card transaction. So, I mean, there are a lot of ways you could improve security. You can improve your security mechanism within the flow. I mean, for most of the time, if you look in carefully, you know how to prevent those. You know how to protect those fraud transactions. So let's just quickly touch a few things. So if you want to avoid data breach, so what we suggest is we have this. You can enforce the transaction security by tokenization. So tokenization is a standard, card industry standard that you can employ, where you, instead of sending a sensitive card PAN information, you could send a garbled data so that you can. That has very contextual meaning only on a certain cases. So that's one of the method that you can employ. And then there are other things like you could employ location checks, right? So you want to know where your customers are making their purchase from, and then whether it makes sense for this given transaction, or are they just faking it, right? So. And then there are things like velocity checks, which is suddenly someone stole somebody's card and then want to just suck out all the money from there, and they're probably making like 10 or 20 or maybe more transactions within an hour. So those are the standards you can. So those are the preventive mechanisms you can enforce to capture the fraudster. And there are other things like address validation service and CVC, card verification, code checks, and so forth. These are like high level security mechanisms that you can use to protect your customers. And we are going to look at a few more after in a brief moment. We'll look at a few of them in details. So okay, here's SSL, right? We take this for granted, right? So SSL. We think, okay, if I run my website on SSL, I'm covered. I'm good. Nobody's going to do anything to me. That's the general assumption, but that's not entirely true. So SSL is a TLS, transport layer security. It can protect you in certain ways, like in terms of payload encryption and so forth, but it doesn't cover you entirely. So there are ways you could expose your sensitive key information, just like what we see here, and then you are vulnerable in that case. So SSL is good enough, but at the payload encryption level. But however, as a commerce platform or commerce service provider, you do want to have an application level security, application layer security to protect end to end. So again, just don't assume that SSL, if you're running a website on SSL, you're done. Not at all. I mean, it's just that TLS level security. You do need to have like a next level application layer security. All right. So again, let's talk about PCI. So I mean, if you're a merchant, if you're either small, medium, large, you probably heard what PCI is, payment card industry standard, right? So what happens here is, let's say your customer's filling in this form, and then your credit card data flow through your website and to your payment gateway like us. So what happens here is if your flow is going through this, like card information gets into your site and goes to the to the payment gateway, then you are under PCI scrutinization, right? You are under PCI scrutiny. So meaning if you want to do such thing, then that PCI is a stringent scrutinization in such a way that you go through network scanning, port scanning, and you do need to run your website probably in the middle of a night where nobody can touch you. So that's serious, right? And then trust me, you don't want to deal with the credit card at all. I mean, it's one of the silliest, craziest thing you can think of. So how do you handle such things, right? How do you make sure that you are PCI protected? How do you make sure that your website is can be PCI accepted and so forth? So that's when so like I said, these are you cannot pass through your credit card cannot flow through your website. Then once it flows through, then you are under PCI PCI check, PCI scrutinization. So what we provide is tokenization. So as Simplify Commerce, what we do is, so you can use our tokenization feature where you can pass in the credit card information to us, and all you get back is the token to you, to the client, to the browser, and then you can use the token to submit to your website. So, I mean, within the context of the transaction, token has token has meaning only for that level, from getting it from Simplify Commerce to the website, and that's it. If your website is compromised, God forbid, and nobody, the token in itself has no meaning, has no relevance. So that is the key aspect of this tokenization procedure. So, and again, this is one of the features that we provide. So if you use our tokenization, you are covered within the PCI PCI level certified running website. So let's go a few more slides here. And again, ABCCVC checks, address validation service, and card verification code checks. And this has been proven, has been tested to control frauds. And you don't want to ship your items and then realize, oh no, I sent to the wrong person. You don't want to do that. So for such things, you could employ AVS and CVC checks, and it can really cut down your chargeback. You don't want to waste your time dealing with all those, stuff, red tapes and so forth. It definitely can catch some of the flags, right? That we definitely encourage that. And so this is what we saw earlier, location checks. So what we are saying here is, in location checks, we want to say, okay, so you want to, as a merchant, you want to make sure how your transactions are coming, or where it's coming from. So you don't want to, for a given scenario, you don't have a use case or situation in such a way your billing and shipping may not match. You don't want that to be different, right? So you do want to have that level of fine-grained control. So that's what we have. You do need to have that kind of control to prevent the fraudster. So there are all kinds of there are much more settings and controls you could use, and these are some of the common ones. So which is you can control, if you don't want to have your billing and shipping address different, don't approve this transaction, right? And then if you don't want to have your IP address coming from a different billing address, so you want to control it. So there's a control mechanism for that. And you don't want to have some folks using a proxy, from Nigeria through a proxy routed from US servers. You don't want that. So these are the checks you can use to control fraudsters. And like I said, known networks, this is another big one, which is, let's say if you don't want to take any transaction that's coming from public networks, or libraries, or prison networks, and so forth. So you could control some of those things too. And you want to only approve transaction from major ISP. Yes, you do want to have some kind of control over that. And IP location. Let's say I'm a US-based business. I do not want anybody making a transaction from Africa or Southeast Asia or so forth. Then you have an option to do that. So these are the location checks, and also the card where it's been registered. That makes a difference, right? So these are the location checks that you could use to prevent prevent fraudster from making a purchase on your website. And by the way, Walkie-Talkie is one of our merchant that we just have it in the slide. Let's go to the next one, which is the velocity check. This is also a key thing. So what it means is you don't sometimes, a lot of times, if you look at it, it's a easy flag that when someone steals your card, they want to suck out of it immediately, right? So that's when the velocity checks would come in useful. So where you can say, if I receive more than 5 payments, I'm not the ADD, I'm not clicking it, right? If I'm ADD, I might click like 3 times, right? If I do 5 times, then something wrong with me. So you want to have a control that the same card is used for more than 5 or 10 times, then something wrong. Somebody's trying to, do something with my card, right? Somebody stole it, somebody have all the PAN info, so forth. So those kind of checks, you can control how many payments you want to see. Like you want to, in your scenario, maybe more than 5 is not a normal thing. So that you need that kind of a control, right? And also IP address. You don't want to have like 5 different or maybe 100 different payments from the same IP address. Then obviously something wrong. Somebody is making a payment from the same machine or so forth. And device, what kind of device you want to support? I want to support only desktop. That's fine. So let's do it. So, or maybe I want to support only mobile devices. Yes. So these are the fine-grained controls we want to provide you as a merchant, you as a service provider, that you can use to control fraudsters. Email, let's say if you use the same email in multiple different scenarios, you don't want that. So these are the velocity checks that you could use to control fraud in this in this scenario. So we have those options. So here we are. So I'm happy to announce Simplify Controls. So this is a brand new fraud protection feature that we are releasing right today, actually, right recently I should say. So it is catered, or it is designed for any size merchants, small, medium, large. And you can do all these from anywhere, not just through a desktop. And you can also do it from a mobile device. And there was a talk earlier which was talking about contextual commerce, which is, context makes a difference. So you are in a business trip or conference trip, so forth. You probably are a merchant, so you want to control it from here, from when you are away from your business location. How would you do that? I don't have access to desktop. I want to do it through my wearable device. I want to do it through my mobile phone. I want to do it through, whatever the medium it's going to be, right? So this is a total omni-channel solution that you should be able to control all the fraud protection features for you as a merchant, so that you can be notified, you can be you'll be able to control, you'll be able to identify how many transactions coming in or where it's coming from and so forth. So it's a total end-to-end solution that we provide, where you can control fraud for your business. And then here we are. So Simplify Commerce, like I said earlier. So it's if you are WooCommerce, if you have WooCommerce installed, we are already there. So it's a prepackaged module already within WooCommerce. So all you need to do is just enable it as the payment gateway, and you can just fill in the API key and you're good to go. So you don't need to install anything extra for users. So it's again, we are very omni-channel. We are we are very developer focused. We're a developer driven platform, meaning we have SDKs. Like you could run your WooCommerce through PHP, and if you want to have some form of mechanism to generate reports or backend admin, so forth, you could use some of our SDKs to build something on your own. So that's where we are, right? So please check us out. And then here are our social media channels, and we have a table booth right outside, and we are happy to talk to you. We are happy to help you if you are interested. Just if you want to take advantage of Simplify Controls, immediately, just talk to us. So we are here, happy to help you out. And then thanks for listening to me. All right, thank you.